Hi everyone and welcome to my review of The Polar Express in 2004. This film's directed of course by Robert Zemeckis, and yes, it's an animated film, live action mocap film, and yes, this film is very divisive, and I thought it's a film that I kind of tried to watch most Christmases. There was probably a gap of a few years at one point where I didn't watch it actually at all, and unfortunately I don't even own the Blu-ray, so I have nothing to show, but yes, this film I watched it a couple of days ago, watched it on Thursday, of course, kind of as tradition, because it is, of course, Christmas time, and yes, my plans for Christmas in terms of YouTube will be have a few days break, over kind of Christmas Eve, and all the way through till the 28th is when I'll be back for another review, catching up on the films that I've watched, over that time. One will be, of course, It's a Wonderful Life, which I'll say now, my favourite Christmas film of all time. Cannot wait to review that, and very high on my list of favourite films. So yes, this film is a childhood favourite. One of my favourite childhood sort of animated films and everything. I first saw it roughly soon after it came out. It was a Christmas present I got, and yeah, me and my brother watched it and everything, and just loved it. Became obsessed with it, and I think it really shocked me to kind of hear once a few years after that kind of start looking online maybe about reviews and everything, and see that it was very at times quite panned, and it wasn't that popular a lot of the time, and was called a crap film, and everything, and similarly with Forrest Gump, actually, I was shocked to hear that was kind of hated on at times, but yeah, this film, of course, Robert Zemeckis directs, co-writes as well, and yeah, I think he's actually a director who is very divisive overall. Back to the Future, not much people don't like that. The rest of his films, really, in some ways divisive. I think Forrest Gump, especially, and yeah, this one very divisive. But it's got kind of a cult following at times. And it's just it's a film that I've rewatched again, and despite all the divisive stuff and everything, and some of the, of course, it got a very kind of critical panning and stuff. I think it just I don't see it. I think it's actually, for me, not just a great film, and actually just a wonderful Christmas film. I think it's a masterpiece of cinema, and that's just me. I think on a visual standpoint, it just has a couple of flaws. In the animation, imperfections. Of course, people commented on the kind of uncanny valley effect that it gives, and really, it's just with one of the characters. One of the main characters, the girl in the film. Just at times her face is just a bit. Yeah, it could have been better, but really, there's only little nitpicks in some of the faces, but really, the animation is actually stunning, and this is a film. It's a wonderful story, and of course, co-written and everything by Zemeckis. Zemeckis, when he's on form, is one of my favourite directors of all time. He's made quite a few, a couple of masterpieces here, and this is actually another masterpiece from him. And I think it's just a wonderful story. It's a warm film. Zemeckis really is one of the directors you can define as warm. That's kind of what you think of when you think Back to the Future, kind of Forrest Gump as well. This one is just so warm. It's full of heart and a sense of wonder. Animation, of course. That's one of the key elements in a kind of animation, and kind of a kids' film, Christmas films as well. In this way, wonder, and he really portrays that wonderfully in this film. And of course, it's a very simple story. And maybe some simple messages in there as well. Of course, which many criticise, as well, Forrest Gump for. But it's not about how simple a film is on the surface. It's just because it's so well executed, this film, and it's so meaningful, and it's so sincere and all this kind of stuff, that it's just immensely powerful. And it's very simple. This boy, he's never really named in the film. It's called the Hero Boy, and basically. He doesn't at first believe in Christmas. You see him in his home, and it's Christmas Eve night, and he's kind of doubting everything, and we might get into some spoilers here, minor spoilers in the review, but I'll try not to really get into all of them. But yeah, basically, he doesn't believe in everything, of course, with regards to Christmas, and then he sees this, he hears and sees this train arriving at night, and known as, of course, the Polar Express, and then you see the conductor come out and he says, basically, he asks him if he wants to get on. He explains it, the Polar Express, and of course, the intention is to kind of take these kids to the North Pole. And yeah, basically, very, very quickly, he jumps on and joins Tom Hanks, and everything, of course, voices the conductor and many, many different, characters in the film, and wonderfully, Tom Hanks is probably one, it could be the best voice actor of all time, really. I think he probably is, of course, Woody in Toy Story as well, it doesn't get better than that, really. And yeah, basically, he plays quite a lot of the voices of the characters, and, of course, he actually provides some of the mocap as well. And yeah, I just think, what a character, the conductor especially, just amazing, hilarious. This film has amazing comedy in the film, it's just really well written, and it's just hilarious, really, from start to finish. You could say the final act doesn't quite go for that as much, but he arrives on this train, and it's kind of all these kids and everything, and it's just so well captured. Just the magic of it all, and just loads of really great characters in the film. Of course, referred to as the know-it-all kid. He is hilarious in the film. Basically, yeah. You've got the girl as well, and they kind of all become friends throughout the film. They go on this journey, and they kind of learn lessons, and then of course the finale, they get kind of rewarded and everything, and kind of it's just a wonderful film. It really is, and of course. You've got the character of Billy. He's one of the characters that's actually named, and he comes onto the train, after a while as well, and it's just a wonderful film, about, of course, acceptance and everything as well, and just believing in general. It's not just about in Christmas, believing in Christmas and everything. It is just about believing in yourself, that you can do things, and just believing in anything really, in general. So you kind of apply it to many different things, and it's just wonderfully executed. The score by Alan Silvestri is one of the best in film, personally. I think Alan Silvestri is one of the best film composers of all time for me. Of course, he would work with Zemeckis on quite a lot of his films, including Forrest Gump, and Back to the Future. Of course, he also worked on The Avengers, and stuff like that. Wonderful, wonderful composer. He can do anything really, and it's always kind of just wonderful, and he can do epic stuff, and this one is absolutely wonderful. The score, the way that this is used in the film, could not have been better. I think especially one of the highlights is when he first gets on the train, and it's just sweeping, overwhelming score, and it just brings tears to my eyes. It is absolutely wonderful, really is, and just all the song numbers in this film, you could say that they're a bit, they're not complex and everything, a lot of these songs, but they're just so lovely, and they sound so nice, and they kind of drive the film forward. Not the hot chocolate one, but that in itself is just such a joyous scene, hilarious scene, and very, very creative. In the way it's kind of staged and everything, the way it's put together, it's just really amazing. This film, visually it is really, really creative, and just the sequences, when they're on the train, it acts just kind of very, very operatically. It's kind of there's all these different obstacles in their way, and it just makes it such a kind of an enjoyable film. It's got tension in there when they're on the train. It's got these epic moments when they kind of ski down the top of the train as well, and so many moments within that. But really, this film is all character driven. It's just the way that Zemeckis and everyone just involved kind of brings out these characters. But then it can be applied to many, many different things. It's just wonderful. It's a simple story. You could say at times, visually it's just got so much wonder to the film. But it's a simple story with kind of, you could say, a straightforward kind of narrative and everything. But really, it's just about how well and how sincerely this is executed, and just how warm it is and magical. That's what it is, and really, for me, this is one of the very best Christmas films of all time, and it is actually, it does get, a very, very high rating from me. We'll get to that soon. But this film, it's just as well, the protagonist, the hero boy, is just so kind of relatable, someone you can root for throughout the film. And it's just, really, really grounded character. His journey is just so good, and it's just really emotional. And when the film comes together in the final act, of course, you see Santa and everyone in the final act, and everything involving the bell. It is just wonderful. This film, it really is, and the way it comes together, it really moves me. And of course, you've got the kind of the drive back, of course, as well, and it just really, this film is so good. I think everything about the film is really pretty much flawless. As I say, the animation is wonderful. The visuals, there is some slight imperfections, as I say, in just some of the faces, but really it's just a couple. Most of it actually is very, very impressive, and it's just overall the visuals though are absolutely stunning. So I can't really dock a mark off of that because of some slight imperfections. Because the visuals are actually some of the best. I love the animation basically. I think the visuals are so good. It's full of wonder, beautiful colours, and just an atmosphere achieved through it. And it's a very, very kind of upbeat film and everything. It has its dark moments, but it's kind of there to warm the heart and kind of just uplift you. And in that it succeeds wonderfully. Zemeckis is just I love Zemeckis. Overall as a director, when he's on form, he is just amazing. And this is one of his masterpieces for me. I think really it's just every act is kind of the perfect acts. Really, and then of course you've got these touching kind of moments at the end as well, and the ending, itself is one of my favourite endings actually in cinema. It really is, and just the quote there. This is a very, very quotable film. It really is, and it's just so memorable. When I first saw it, I fell in love with it, and I just think it's kind of a tradition. It's one of the go-to films at Christmas. Of course. And it's not just a Christmas film. It really is a wonderful piece of cinema. That really I connect to so much. Emotionally, it moves me, to tears. It's just a wonderful film. It's a funny film, just full of wonder and heart. And just great characters actually, and just transformations. Everything they go through in the film. Yes, on paper it's simple, but it really is so well executed over this. And the way that the train is used, I've kind of said before on my channel, that kind of trains can be very important devices in cinema, and it applies to this, but Hitchcock, of course, and I'm bringing Hitchcock into this, he uses trains to kind of mount tension up, to kind of act as a device to kind of develop things, just with the characters as well, and the fact that they're forced to kind of, be within this, in the confines of this, it always makes it kind of more, there's a warmth to it, and there's kind of a way that he can progress the film as well. And this does it, it does that. And of course, not all of the film is in the train, but at least probably 60% of the film is kind of in or around the Polar Express itself. And you've got these amazing sequences that, as I say, keep building the building, not just the action and everything and the tension, but the characters and the journey that they go on, and the kind of different moments throughout. It's always kind of character driven, and there's a spectacle at the end, but then it of course instantly kind of follows on to this this kind of wonderful culmination of all the different characters and how they've progressed and what they've learned from their journey. And then of course, you've got wonderful score throughout the entire film, and it's just a beautiful film. It's human, it's uplifting, and of course it has some dark moments, basically, but it's not a film that is kind of immensely dark or anything. It's Robert Zemeckis. It's not, I suppose Castaway, you could say, is probably the darkest film that he made, at times, but even then it's still kind of full of warmth and everything, and it's just Zemeckis never really goes for dark and depressing films, and what this is trying to do, it succeeds wonderfully, as I've said. Really, I don't really have any flaws that kind of bother me. Yes, the animation is not perfect throughout, but I think overall the visuals are masterful for me. Really, it's just a couple of things. Yes, with some of the one or two of the faces really it just looks a bit off, because of course it gives that effect, the uncanny valley effect. But really, it's very, very minor quibbles of the film, and it's just really slight moments really that don't really take me out of the experience personally. But everything else is overwhelming with emotion, with sincerity, just with wonder and warmth, and it's hilarious. Tom Hanks, it's just amazing. What he does in this film, and of course, Zemeckis directs this film pretty much perfectly, and yeah, I think it's just full of wonderful characters, transformations that really are wonderful to see every time, and yeah, I think this is a masterpiece, and because of how much I connect to it, and I think how it elevates really, and just the level of kind of visual mastery for most of the film, and the way that the score is, and just I think just how well this is executed, and because of yes, it's simple, but really for me, cinema when it's at its best, it is its simplicity perfected. This isn't one of the best films ever made, but I think it's on my favourite films list, top 200. I would say, and actually it manages to get into my plus tiers. Not high into my plus tiers, but really it's a special film. I'd highly recommend watching it. Especially if you've not seen it, and it's of course Christmas time. And of course if you have seen it, let me know what you think. But this gets 100% plus, tier 3. Yes, it's just my opinion. I think this is a masterpiece, and it's slightly, it does elevate. It's not high into my plus tiers. It's not, kind of top 150 or anything, but it does get into that. I think just because it really means a lot to me, and I love this film so much. I adore this film, and it's a wonderful, wonderful film. It's just wonderful. The messages, the way it's kind of the journey of it all. It's just this one night. They kind of they see each other for, and you never kind of see anything else. There's never been a sequel. And you never know really what happened. It's just left to you to kind of kind of think about and wonder maybe did they ever see each other again or anything like that. But it's this one magical night, and it's just a lovely film. Zemeckis, wonderfully directed. Of course, the script for me is great. I think the characters overall are great, and yeah, it's just a couple, as I say, slight imperfections. In the kind of just some of the faces in the animation, but really, as I've said, minor flaw there, and the rest of the film is kind of just overwhelming with greatness, mastery. And it's a wonderful film, full of wonder, hope, and yeah, it's a human film that I think is a masterpiece, and I would highly recommend it. Among my favourite animated films. But when I say that, that's there's so many animated films that I love that are in my top, 500 favourite films list that, this probably wouldn't even be in my top 20 or so. But I adore the film, and yeah. If you've not seen it, highly recommend it. Of course, it's very divisive, and everyone has their own opinions. But I'm one of the people that, it's kind of divisive. There's a split. I'm on the side, the people that do love the film and can't quite see how it's hated on as much as it is. But yes, I think, it's just a wonderful film. And of course, what better time to watch it than Christmas time. So yes, highly recommend this. Wonderful film. And yes, thanks for watching my review.